Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Spring the sweet rhythm dance in my head and slip into my lover's hands. Kiss me, won't you kiss me now? I'm asleep, I would inside your mouth.
Welcome everyone to another amazing episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we've got the passionate head of Market Veep, the go-to agency for manufacturing companies looking to expand their market share, update their sales processes, and level up their marketing. She's also the podcast host of Finding Business Happy, like that title. Thrive Loud listeners and viewers, we're going to have a fun conversation with Jennelle McGrath. Jennelle, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to chat and geek out.
We're going to geek out a little bit here. I think we're going to get a little marketing. We're going to get a little techie. We're going to get a little smarketing, I think, is where this conversation is going to go. And Jennelle's coming to us from New Hampshire here in mid-March, which means that it's probably raining. But
it's been raining for days.
So with that, what I want to do is help bring our listeners and viewers up to speed. Jennelle, if you could, I don't want to rewind all the way to the very beginning. I want to understand how what you're doing now, how Market Veep became your gig.
Yeah. So I had another business for 15 years, and I started that one when I was in college, and I decided that I wanted to be a consultant and that I never wanted to have employees ever. And it's a big joke now because that is very far from where I ended up landing, where we have a full team across the world. But we are a HubSpot Diamond partner. We're a 2-time Inc. 5000 fastest growing company. We help organizations scale their marketing and sales efforts across a whole bunch of different channels, everything from social, web, or Google partner, LinkedIn ads, all of those traditional pieces. The biggest difference is that we use HubSpot as our connector, and so that we can really close the loop on that full life cycle of where the revenue is coming from.
Gotcha. Jennelle, you have a specific lane that you focus on, a niche. Talk about how did manufacturing companies become the focus of what you do?
Yeah. I think, we service B2B in a multitude of ways over the last decade, everything from healthcare, finance, startup platforms. And some of the things that we've learned from there are, we can take those insights and apply them across, to the others, as opposed to staying just in one silo. And I think one of the things that makes me fall in love with industrial and manufacturing space is that it's the people. I think that the people as a whole are just some of the kindest humans that I've gotten to work with. I think that they are hard workers and they really just love their family, their business. They take care of, their organization, have really incredible value systems. And those are the organizations that really have inspired us. And so that's why we exist pretty deeply on that space.
So we're going to get a little geeky, viewers and listeners here, because from a sales and marketing perspective, and I'm using those terms separately and soon, very shortly, together as one piece, because there's a very key aspect. I happen to be a power user of HubSpot. I've done it for several clients. You could see the results and it tracks it. It's a very good tool. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's one of the better CRM tools that are out there for communication. But I like where you're angling it. Not only are they very nice people, but manufacturing companies. Talk about how you're helping to integrate with their stuff, because a lot of people are familiar with maybe consulting services or maybe, let's call them more softer end products versus some harder ones. Talk about how you're driving the revenue and the sales and what's been working uniquely for the companies that you've been focused on.
I think that there's a significant amount of alignment. I think a lot of marketing organizations will focus just on the silo of marketing, and there's not as much conversation about the after. We really like to think of it as a collaboration between all the departments. So we want to understand what happens after, how many touch points, how can we automate that and make their life easier, what shows, that they're going to, and what can we take and automate after the show and before the show to promote more meetings, and really look at it as an omni-channel as opposed to tactical and staying in one lane over another. But manufacturers in general, I think with COVID, there's been a significant shift of more adoption and more acceptance of embracing the technology. And so we really do it as a phased approach. I think no two companies are the same in terms of how quickly they adopt a system. They start at different points, right? Like some of them are in Excel, some of them might have a different CRM that they want to move off of, and just kind of meeting them where they're at to make sure that it's a fit for them.
That's actually where I wanted to go, because I think one of the hardest parts for any sales or marketing organization, or the departments within the organizations, is that very rarely, unless it is a startup situation, are you starting from scratch and zero. Usually there's something else there.
Yeah.
What every one of these CRM systems will tell you is that they can do everything, which is not necessarily always the truth. But the hardest thing is they only do everything their best when it's the most integrated into one platform.
Yes.
From your seat, Jennelle, let's hear some tactics that you can help people who are big fans of the platform that you're working with, from HubSpot or any solution that it might be. What is the conversation that you have across sales and marketing to get everybody on the same page?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest ones is persona, understanding who their buyer is, because we can't build out an ecosystem within HubSpot without understanding who we're going to message to, how we're going to segment those lists. The other piece is, to your point, connecting everything, like literally everything. I think sometimes we'll see people who might be using HubSpot, but they're only connected to, let's say, their one company LinkedIn profile. And there's huge benefit to pushing that same content out to their entire, let's say, 30-person sales team automatically without having any human interaction, and streamlining that process so that the sales rep doesn't have to remember to do that. Call tracking, call logging, and having things like CallRail where you can actually use AI to analyze the best conversations and then take that and use it in your messaging. So as many tools as they're actively using now, if they have a native integration, we connect them, because the more data, the better.
I want to talk about email for a second. And I don't know if this is going to go down this avenue, because email has a lot of problems of late. I can go on we could do a whole podcast, you and I, just about some of the problems of email. But
so it's not your favorite, is what you're saying.
Not only is it my least favorite tool, the hard part about it is that I think we've gotten to the point that there's so much email communication that and every tactic, we can blame all of the worst marketers in the world using some of the worst tactics and techniques, that what's happening is we just basically are funneling the stuff to junk, or we're just deleting it. We're not getting to it. We're certainly not reading it as much. There's other means, from using video, using social, using all these other aspects where we can get a better perspective. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that manufacturing companies might be not necessarily at the forefront of newest communications and marketing, sales and marketing technologies. I'm being
we want to make friends
here. We're amongst friends. Well, so where probably email is most prevalent and probably has a lot of key factors for them, but helping them guide them down the future and helping them to see that. I want to get your take on both my take here on where I think email is and the cluttered space it's in, and where you think you could be leading the clients you're working with down the road.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think email has a place. I think the biggest, most beneficial thing that people can do is have segmentation. I think when people are just taking their whole list and blasting it out, totally not useful. We also run into things where, like, a sales team doesn't want marketing to touch any of their clients, even if they are trying to upsell or cross-sell, because they don't want to disrupt any of the sales process. And so really aligning on what type of message needs to go out in those regular emails. But I'll tell you a story. We were at a show and I was talking to somebody and he said, we were talking about, do you do marketing? And he said, yeah. I want to get into more email. And we said, great. Like that sounds, tell us a little bit more. He's like, I want to send out 2 emails a year. We were like, that is not an email marketing strategy, campaign nurture. So we look at it as the marketing side and then the sales side. So arming the sales team with sequences and using things like Vidyard to personalize them and have more engagement in those conversations, and really doing A/B testing, whether that's the subject line, the images, the layouts, and then basing it on the data of that engagement and continuing to modify. Because to your point, I think email is a really saturated space. I know I use Trimbox to make sure that I'm blocking out as much, junk as possible.
I want to now get to the heart. By the way, there's a part of me, I understand where sales in certain organizations gets a problem when marketing is sending stuff out and they're in the middle of a closed cycle, and communication internally about the timing of that is never easy. So getting smarketer about what you need to do, I'm using that term intentionally, listeners, as cheesy as it might be, but we said we were going to geek out on this episode. Getting smarketer and AI today, that's where I wanted to talk about. How have you been able to, within the last year or so, utilize AI in an advantage to help with maybe that exact issue? Because I think that's one of the biggest challenges. I totally agree. When something's in a sales process, they don't want to be bothered by any more marketing communication.
No. And they don't want to have more questions come up that are going to derail anything either, right?
Yeah. Or more notably, by the way, I went out and I purchased something via Instagram the other day, found something was a really good sale. It was an item for my own personal thing. And I keep getting hit with wanting to buy the same thing. This is no different than this, right? I'm getting bombarded in that regard. So I'm bringing B2C and B2B together here. How are we helping people do this better?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways within HubSpot. Like HubSpot has really evolved in terms of adopting AI natively within the tool set. So things like building landing pages from scratch, we can automatically use AI to generate different types of content, whether that be blogs, long form content, pillar pages, landing pages, emails, email flows, where normally you'd really have to have a human strategically come up with all those things. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. You still need a human to go through it, but using AI to be able to translate that and look at the historical things that have been done, like if you go back through and you look at your best converting emails and then building with AI off of those within HubSpot, there's value there to save time and effort. But I think, with all of the tools, there's no way to get away from it, right? I mentioned CallRail is another one. The AI is built into that tool that will, tell you the best sales conversations, all of these different pieces where you just have somebody have to listen. And so I think the more that we accept it and figure out ways to save manual time, the better that we're going to be.
We're going to talk about 2 things that you've created and the meaning behind them. The first is the name of your company, Market Veep. I happen to be a big fan of the TV show Veep, which was on HBO for many years. But obviously we're talking about Market VP, but what is this about?
Yeah. So we, as marketers, right, all the good names are taken. There's no other way to say it. Every name, like hundreds and hundreds of names, we could not find a name. And somebody was talking about Veep and how great of a show it was. I'd never seen it, but something clicked and I was like, okay, I knew that I wanted to have a short name, and easily spelled name was the second thing. And so that fit the bill.
Awesome. As sometimes being simple is clear, but it was on my brain here of things to ask you.
It was hard to find, like where the all the social handles, the domain didn't have to get brokered, like all of those pieces.
And I think we're done with the days of doing this vowel-less words of spelling stuff where people, I think we're done with it. It's just please. Yeah, it's so helpful when you're looking at it and you're going, is this supposed to be a word or is this supposed to be an acronym? I never know. You also have been creating some amazing content, and you have a program called Finding Business Happy. I love the name of that. I'm gonna ask a content creator a question from one to another here.
Yeah.
You are creating amazing content that people are receiving, and that's a gift to them. But there's always this happy accident that happens to the content creator that you in turn get a gift from this output that you're putting out into the universe. Jennelle, what have you received, the happy accident, if you would, of putting Finding Business Happy out into the universe?
I think the inspiration for how other people live their happiest life, like being able to connect with people that I probably would never have ever found in my everyday, life, or maybe I'd find them, but not been able to have deep conversation about how their life has been impacted or changed, or a new idea that they're trying to bring to market. And I think that is really inspiring and exciting, because I think happy doesn't look the same for every single person. Yeah. And so hearing what motivates their happy and what drives them, I think helps people, especially myself, figure out, like, I didn't consider that. That's interesting. Like, maybe I should explore that.
Awesome. Let's do the admin part of the show. Where can people find you, Jennelle?
Yeah. So they can find me on LinkedIn, Jennelle McGrath, or on our website, marketveep.com, or they can listen into Finding Business Happy on Spotify and Apple. Probably the best ways.
Super. Is Jennelle McGrath ready to go down Fun Street here on Thrive Loud?
Let's do it.
She's ready. We did a little geek out. We didn't get too deep into nooks and cranny, but we're going to have more fun about learning about you. Jennelle, if you could share with the listeners, do you have like an all-time favorite movie, or like a Mount Rushmore of movies that are just the certain types that are like your go-tos? If they're on, you got to go watch.
Oh man. I like a good rom-com. I know it's probably, I don't have a favorite, but just like easy laugh. No horror movies, definitely no horror movies.
It's funny you say that. Every late August, the month of September, when they are promoting all of the horror movies that are coming out in October, I see that, and often I'll be watching it with my wife, and we'll both watch it on television. It'll be a promo or an ad or whatever it is. I'll always joke with her. I'm like, "Oh, you're going to be seeing that," and it's like no bid to do this whatsoever. So I totally get you. All right, but we'll let you think about what rom-com you like when you get a chance. There's probably many out there. Okay, we're going to do the Speakeasy Pub Crawl, almost like a speed round here. We're going to stop at all the places that mean the most to Jennelle McGrath. Here we go. Jennelle, of late, a song that you love to listen to, or maybe one that pumps you up.
Oh my gosh.
I got an oh man and an oh my gosh from Jennelle early on in this interview here, by the way.
My husband will tell you I am the worst at remembering names, but I love our wedding song. It's a Dave Matthews song, and I cannot remember, and I'm glad he's not here to hear that I have forgotten our wedding song.
A favorite food that is not a dessert.
Favorite food? I really love a kale shake. I know. Not super exciting, but very delicious and refreshing.
You're the one. Favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert? Carrot cake. Buttercream frosting.
An activity you wish you did more of?
More yoga and meditation.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Email. Hence why I got Trimbox.
A new activity, one that you've recently tried that you like so much, you want to tell all the listeners and viewers to try.
I tried my son's pogo stick, his new pogo stick, the other day, which was like a childhood dream. So that was pretty exciting.
We used to play with the pogo stick when I was a kid growing up. We had some like serious numbers people doing, like jumping on that thing all day long. Remember,
right? Like going up a hill versus going down a hill, things that I would never think about, that you have to control your body, but very fun.
Definitely something that was created in the circus and then somebody marketed, because nobody said, let's bounce on a spring on a rubber tip metal thing where I could put my feet. Yeah, that's just something strange about that. If I could snap my fingers and Jennelle McGrath can be anywhere in the world.
Italy.
Oh, she didn't even let me finish the sentence. Where in Italy would you specifically want to be?
Florence. I love Florence.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite cities too. Great food. Jennelle McGrath, everybody check it out. Finding Business Happy, and more importantly, Market Veep. Go check her out, the go-to agency for all you manufacturing companies out there. Need some help? This is the one to go to. Jennelle, thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. Great to have you on the program. Thanks for doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Leading me all around in the circles. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Man, love, love. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. On my way again.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.